Yes, not so good a bargain. How about this one? My army, my throne.
Welcome back to Marvelous Videos. Today, we will be looking at all the Loki variants from the TV series Loki. After stealing the Tesseract in New York, Loki ends up in an unknown desert where he is captured by the Time Variance Authority. Even though it's far from being the most mischievous crime committed by Loki, it has made him a timeline-violating criminal, who are referred to as variants.
Guilty of a crime against the sacred timeline. Absolutely not, you have the wrong person.
But this Loki was not the only Loki who had been pruned by the timeline keepers. As Mobius said, you can throw a rock there and you hit a Loki.
An alligator. It's best not to question it.
Oh, you throw a rock out here, you hit a Loki.
The Loki variants have caused more trouble than the TVA than any other variants that they have brought in. Loki was shown some of the other Loki variants that have been pruned by the TVA over time. Mobius knew how to deal with Loki and had dealt with multiple Lokis before, and all of them were similar, one way or another. The TVA is up against their biggest threat, as one of the Loki variants has been eliminating the TVA Minutemen and collecting their reset charges. The TVA describes a variant as a person who does something that they're not supposed to in the sacred timeline. Their crime could range anywhere from arriving late for work to stealing the Tesseract from the Avengers. The TVA is dedicated to maintaining the sacred timeline to prevent the Multiversal War. Today, we're going to explain all of these Loki variants that were featured in the Disney Plus TV show.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Number 1. Loki L1130, main variant. The main Loki variant was created during the events of the Avengers Endgame, when the Avengers went back in time to steal the Infinity Stones from before their destruction by Thanos. After Tony Stark collapsed from a heart attack induced by Ant-Man, the Hulk came smashing through the elevator. The Tesseract ended up sliding within Loki's reach. The God of Mischief then escaped with the Tesseract, which made him break away from the sacred timeline, where he was taken back to Asgard.
I don't believe you. You're lying. It's not true.
It is true. That's the proper flow of time, and it happened.
The variant version of Loki hadn't been through his journey of redemption, which began in Asgard. The TVA records show him the death of his mother, the destruction of his planet, and even his death at the hands of Thanos. Before Loki was caught by the TVA, he was a god who wanted to rule the Earth. He had formed an alliance with Thanos and invaded Earth with the help of the army known as the Chitauri. His plan backfired gloriously when he was smacked around by the Hulk and defeated by the Avengers. He managed to escape confinement after teleporting himself away using the Tesseract.
Now get out of my way.
But the TVA found out and arrested him for breaking the sacred timeline. Mobius thought of Loki as an asset in hunting down the other Loki variants who were hell-bent on destroying the TVA. Loki discovers his female version hiding behind one of the apocalypses and develops a fondness towards her. Sylvie's powers help him to realize that the TVA is built on lies, and everyone who works with them has been a variant who was robbed of their memories. Once they discover that the Timekeepers were fake androids, Loki gets pruned by Renslayer, and ends up in the Void, where he meets other multiple Loki variants.
All I know is I got pruned, and I woke up here, and now I'm surrounded by variants of myself.
Sylvie self-prunes when Renslayer was trying to capture her. Loki and Sylvie reunite on the Void and come up with a plan to seek an audience with the real creator of the TVA. They enchant Alligator, while classic Loki distracts him with illusions. In doing so, they gain an audience with He Who Remains, the real creator of the TVA. He offers his position and powers to Loki and Sylvie, as he has been there for a long time. Sylvie wishes to kill him, but he warns them that it'll lead to war for control between his multiversal variants, who are far worse than he is.
You kill me and destroy all this, and you don't just have one devil, you have an infinite amount.
Loki believes his words to be true because of Sylvie's inability to trust people. She betrays Loki and kills He Who Remains. The incident leads to Kang the Conqueror taking over the TVA. Number 2. Classic Loki. Classic Loki is the older variant who managed to live beyond the events of Avengers Infinity War. He is the master of sorcery and prefers to use his magic as a weapon instead of a dagger. When the main Loki variant gets pruned, he arrives at the Void thinking he's dead and in hell. The other Loki variants, Classic Loki, Kid Loki, Boastful Loki, and even Alligator Loki, come across Loki L1130 and ask him to follow them. They proceed to the shelter to escape from Alligator.
Gotta keep moving so we don't die.
I can get behind that, but what's your plan?
Don't die.
Okay, understood, but beyond that.
Don't die.
Don't die isn't the plan, is it?
The main Loki variant, screaming, alerts Alligator to their presence. The other Lokis tell him to stay quiet to avoid getting noticed.
What I need to be doing is trying to find a way back to the TVA!
Stop wailing or you will signal a liar.
When the main Loki variant inquires about hatching an escape plan, Classic Loki explains that it's nearly impossible to leave the Void and that they had tried multiple times. The Loki variants arrive at the secret bunker to hide from Alligator. Classic Loki asks the main Loki variant why he wants to return to the TVA. He replies saying that it was his glorious purpose. The other Lokis share the stories of their Nexus events, which led the TVA to prune them. Classic Loki narrates how he tried to trick Thanos into killing an illusion of him and spent many years in exile hiding on another planet. The solitude made him reflect on the pain and suffering that he had caused others. He realized that he missed his brother Thor.
To tell you the truth, I miss my brother.
The TVA caught him and decided to leave the planet to meet his brother. As the main Loki variant was about to leave the bunker to go try and kill Alligator, President Loki variant appeared with his troops of bandits and cornered the group. Boastful Loki had devised a plan with President Loki to overthrow Kid Loki as the king in exchange for shelter, but he was betrayed by President Loki. As the circle of Lokis deceiving each other continues, Alligator Loki attacks President Loki and rips off his hand. Amidst the chaos, Classic Loki creates multiple versions of himself and escapes along with Kid Loki, Alligator Loki, and main Loki variant. They agree to help main Loki reach Alligator, but question the decision about witnessing Alligator devour the USS Eldridge right in front of them. The main Loki is reunited with Sylvie and Mobius, and Sylvie makes them realize how terrible main Loki's plan was.
Alligator.
Oh my god, that was your plan.
Yeah.
And you all went along with it.
I was having my doubts.
After she decided to enchant Alligator to meet the creator of the TVA, Classic Loki stays behind to help them distract Alligator with his illusions, saying he has found his glorious purpose. Number 3. Lady Loki, Sylvie. At the end of episode 2, it is revealed that the Loki variant going after the TVA Minutemen is Lady Loki, known as Sylvie.
Faded photocopy of me, Loki.
Good, because that's not who I am anymore. I'm Sylvie now.
In the comics, Lady Loki came into existence after Loki was reborn in Lady Sif's body. The MCU files confirm that the character is gender fluid. The character, appearing on the show, is an amalgamation of the traditional comic Lady Loki and Sylvie the Enchantress. She is captured by the TVA when she was just a child, living happily in Asgard. Her Nexus event is yet to be revealed. Sylvie had managed to escape the TVA by stealing a tempad, and had been on the run ever since. Renslayer views Sylvie as her nemesis, and perceives her as dangerous. Sylvie was hiding behind apocalypses to avoid getting detected by the TVA.
The variant could be hiding in the apocalypse and do whatever he wants, and we wouldn't know.
Her plan was to take down the Timekeepers when she was interrupted when the main Loki variant showed up. They develop an interesting relationship after getting stuck on Lamentis 1 in the year 2077, when the planet was on the verge of collapse. Her life experiences had been different from the main Loki variant. She was aware of her adoption, whereas Loki's adoptive status was kept a secret from him for many years. Loki had gone down the villainous path after realizing that he was not the biological son of Odin. Loki learned how to do magic because of his mother, but Sylvie had learned everything by herself. She had taught herself how to enchant, and picked up other tricks while on the run. When she invaded Hunter C20's head after kidnapping her, she accessed the memories of the agent from when she was just a regular human. It contradicted Mobius's belief that all the agents were created by the TVA. Hunter C20 was pruned after regaining the memories of her human life.
Everyone who works at the TVA. The Timekeepers didn't create you, they kidnapped you from the timeline.
Loki's warning leads Mobius and another TVA agent to figure out that they were variants who were captured and controlled by the TVA. Sylvie and Loki were brought in before the Timekeepers. After beheading one of the robot lizards, Sylvie realizes that they were just a proxy for whoever created the TVA. She self-prunes to go after Loki and kill the creator of the TVA.
When I pruned myself, I thought I might be able to find Loki.
Despite being warned of the grave consequences of killing He Who Remains, Sylvie fails to trust Loki and goes after him anyway.
This is his kingdom.
Right. What was your Nexus event, Your Majesty?
I killed Thor.
Number 4. Kid Loki. The Kid Loki variant from the show is particularly based on Kid Loki from the Marvel Comics. Their design and costume were extremely similar to each other, right down to the logo on his t-shirt. The character from the comic book just wanted to prove himself to Thor, but the Kid Loki from the show is far more malicious. Loki's plan to attack Asgard misfired and ultimately led to his demise and the destruction of his home planet. He had manipulated Hela into removing his name from the Book of Hell, which allowed him to be reborn. Thor found a young Loki in Paris who had no memories of his former self. Thor reminded the young Loki of who he truly was. Despite being suspicious of Thor, he believes the stories as he was haunted by the nightmares being an evil person. Thor assures him that these are the memories of his younger self and brings him to Asgard. Even though young Loki had no desire to be anything like his former self, the people of Asgard found it difficult to trust him. The young Loki from the comics was not evil by nature. He just simply wanted to redeem himself instead of being the villain everyone perceived him to be.
And whenever one of us dares try to fix themselves, they're sent here to die.
That's why I need to get out of here.
However, the Kid Loki from the show was more threatening than he offered. He was the leader of the other Loki variants, and they followed his command without question. Boastful Loki had conspired with President Loki to overthrow Kid Loki as their leader, but it ended up in chaos. To the main Loki's surprise, everyone followed Kid Loki, as his Nexus event was killing Thor. He did display remorse regarding his actions and wanted to become a better person. Therefore, he decided to stay back in the void instead of escaping the TVA when he had the chance. He gave his dagger to main Loki, for he went on to fight Goliath.
Hang on. You're telling me that thing's a Loki too?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Number 5. Alligator Loki. One of the greatest mysteries of the Disney Plus show is Alligator Loki. No one seemed to be completely sure whether he was the alligator variant of Loki or just an alligator. The other Loki variants believed the alligator to be a Loki, as he was green in color.
Who's to say he's even a Loki variant?
He's green, isn't he?
Classic Loki could decipher what the alligator was saying. He had suggested that the creature would have created a better Nexus event than eating the wrong neighbor's cat if he wasn't one of them. Alligator Loki was just as overly sensitive as the rest of the Lokis, and quickly lost his cool. He seemed to trust Kid Loki, and followed him like the rest of the other Lokis. It wasn't clear if Loki was born as an alligator, or turned into one. While the other Loki variants were discussing their Nexus events, Alligator Loki seemed to relax as he soaked in a water container. When President Loki arrived with his crew and chaos ensued, the alligator bit off President Loki's hand and took a huge chunk out of Boastful Loki. He seemed disappointed when the main Loki wasn't as afraid of him as he was of Goliath.
Of course, that just makes him more likely to be a Loki. It's always the game within the game with you guys.
The alligator had a snarky sense of humor. He even says a prayer when main Loki proceeded with his plan of killing Goliath.
In America and Iron Man, I claim my prize. All 6 Infinity Stones.
Number 6. Boastful Loki. As the name suggests, Boastful Loki has the habit of boasting about fabricated achievements. He carries the Mjolnir, or perhaps a replica of Thor's hammer. He boasted about not only defeating Captain America and Iron Man, but also claimed to have acquired all the Infinity Stones and even the Infinity Gauntlet. His real Nexus event wasn't revealed, and the truth is probably less glorious than the lies he has been fabricating. Being a Loki, deception and betrayal are part of his nature. He is ambitious and cunning. He even wants to overthrow Kid Loki and claim the throne for himself. Yet, he doesn't seem to be very perceptive, as he didn't predict or consider the possibility of President Loki backstabbing him. Number 7. President Loki. Loki fans had hoped that the President Loki would be playing a significant part inspired by the Vote Loki comic, which coincided with the 2016 US presidential election. The God of Mischief runs for president in the Vote Loki miniseries. His campaign of boldly and proudly lying to the faces of Americans, unlike the other candidates, who are also liars and cheaters, made him surprisingly popular. The President Loki variant appears on the show with a Vote Loki sticker. He seems to have gathered a number of followers and minions after being pruned to the void by the TVA. Kid Loki, Classic Loki, and Alligator Loki seem to avoid him as they consider him very dangerous. He conjures up a plan to overthrow Kid Loki with Boastful Loki and betrays him at the last moment to claim the throne for himself. In a hilarious turnout of events, President Loki is betrayed by his minions, and thus the circle of deception continues. Not only was his arm chopped off by the Alligator Loki during the Battle of Supremacy, one of the variants slammed President Loki headfirst into a popcorn machine. Classic Loki and his companions escaped the chaos by using his magic to create a distraction. Boastful Loki and President Loki's battle for supremacy is a reflection on the deceptive and ambitious nature of Loki. President Loki is just as narcissistic and manipulative as his counterparts. He can gather an army of followers, but owing to his deceptive nature, he fails to inspire loyalty among his followers.
Cannot change. We're broken. Every version of us.
If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to send a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. For Marvelous Videos, I'm Rylan. Have a good one and be safe.